Okay, welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the benefits and impacts of the student working sessions and meetups. I'm Gabriel Forstieri, I'm the Director of Training. I've been with MMUN since 2006, and the year-long program is something we're very proud of. It offers a totally unique way to continue this work and support teachers in the classrooms, as well as give students more opportunities to interact with each other, with their peers who are from all over the world. So we'll begin talking about the student working sessions. These are two independent sessions where students rehearse and apply committee protocol to discuss pressing societal questions. So we've chosen issues that are relevant to youth and are something that don't require a lot of work for them to discuss. So the idea with these working sessions is that it's not like the conference. They're only 3 hours in time. They don't act as countries, but they do get to practice the rules of procedure and committee protocol in an environment where we run everything. So it's a way of taking some of the work off teachers' shoulders and preparing students and getting them excited for the conference. So, this part is really essential to the year-long program. It's really an enormous part of what we are offering. And it gives hands-on experience so that they really get familiar with the vocabulary, they get familiar with the process, and expressing their ideas in that format. It's a really great preparation, and it allows them to discuss issues that are important to them with peers from all over. It's supportive of the working classroom, and it really builds excitement and confidence. We've seen from our bureau members that they're really impressed with the level of the delegates after we implemented these working sessions, because they're just, even students who have never been to a conference before, it's like they've had two chances to process before they even go into their very first committee session. So it makes a really big difference. And these are the topics we've chosen for this coming year. The first one is measures to counter disinformation and promote information integrity. So it's really about disinformation, misinformation. Then we have safeguarding student mental health, cyberbullying, and reducing plastic waste. So these are topics that students can right away have an opinion on, have ideas about. We do offer materials for those teachers or students who have the time and the energy in their curriculum to spend some time working on addressing these ideas if they want, but it's really not required. The idea of it is meant to be that it can be done with absolutely no preparation. So a quick overview about the timeline of these working sessions. October 14th is the deadline to register for both student working sessions and meetups. So once you register for the conference, in step 2B is where you have to register for these working sessions and meetups. And we really suggest you do it before, as soon as possible, because they do fill up. And if, let me go back to that schedule, you can see we have 6 sessions offered. Each of those has a cap. And once we reach that cap, those spaces will be full, and you have to pick one that maybe isn't your favorite, depending on the time in your classroom. These are all Fridays, by the way. So the idea is that they happen during school. Of course, it depends on where you are in the world, of course. It's very difficult with the online activities, as we have students really from all over, to get that correct. So sometimes students are at home. But here are the times and the days. So we have the most sessions right there in the kind of when everyone's really getting ready for the conferences in December and January. As I said, preparation is optional, but 2 weeks before the student working session you registered for, you will receive a PDF with preparation materials, and I'll go over what those materials are. And then the week of the working session, you will receive the Zoom information. So like on that Monday or Tuesday before the Friday, you'll receive the Zoom information for each student in a list format, because they won't all be on the same Zoom call. because we split students up as much as possible from their school group. We can have as many as 600 students in these student working sessions on one of those days. That now we don't have 600 in each Zoom room. We max out at 60. So that means there will be 10 different Zoom calls going on. And for those Zoom calls to work and to make sure you have the biggest spread, we would split up all students from your, let's say you had 10 students in your school, we would split all 10 of them up into different groups so that they got the most mixing possible and everyone gets a chance to meet others, not just those that they already go to school with. The students don't act as countries, they act as NGOs. This is so we can keep the formality of an MMUN committee. They take on these NGO names, they can be real or imagined. And this allows students to represent their own ideas, but they still use that formal way of speaking. The Kids for Mental Health believe, Kids for Mental Health has a question for Mental Health United, instead of saying their own names, which really isn't how the UN committee protocol works, and it changes everything. So it gets them to start practicing using that way of speaking about ideas and conversing about their ideas. But because they're representing their own ideas and not a different country, they can pick an NGO that reflects what they believe, and they really represent their own ideas in these sessions. Whereas in committee session, they have to be the country representative, and so they must take the position of their country. These NGOs can even be created on the spot during the session. We suggest you spend time to just think of an NGO beforehand so they're ready, no one gets surprised. And we do have a PDF that we give out to help give that prior material 2 weeks before, and I'll go through that in a moment. So the student working sessions are led by MMUN staff. So for example, I lead them, and Krista and Angela and Judith. We all will lead them, as well as the very experienced bureau members. So as I said before, because we have, so these are so big, there are so many students who come that we have to have a lot of bureau members. And luckily we have this breadth of bureau members in our, who work with us. And they really guide the students through the whole process, because this meant to educate the students on the rules of procedure, familiarize them with the process and vocabulary. And they can come with no experience. So again, I just want to reiterate, the point of these sessions are, we know it's a lot of work to get those position papers ready. And it may be that you have less time and energy to spend also working on the rules of procedure. Not to mention, it's difficult to do the rules of procedure when everyone knows each other, perhaps, or you only have 6 or 7 students. This way, they can practice in a big room, just like they would in committee session. So in terms of materials for these, really, you need a computer, you need an internet connection, and you need some headphones. Especially if you have multiple students in the same classroom, headphones are key. There's no way that it will work. It will just be a bunch of noise for everyone. And even if everyone stays muted, it's really difficult to hear. So our headphones are really important. So we suggest 1 computer per delegate, but obviously that can be a high standard. If you need to group them together, that's fine. Just let us know how you will group them. Not now, but for example, once you get the list or we put them all in order, just let us know that they can't all be in their own group, and then we'll adjust attendance. Spaced delegates around the classroom, if possible, even farther away, depending on your space. And if you need to take lunch, that's fine. Just let the bureau's members know and you turn off the video. So let's just take a second and look at the PDF together. This is one from last year about inclusivity in the classroom. Oh, sorry, hold on. Didn't want to do that. Sorry about that, give me 1 second. One second. Sorry, I'm having little PowerPoint issues here. Okay, I'm back. I think I'm just going to do it this way. Because my PowerPoint is being iffy. Okay, so as you can see here, this is what an example of what the students receive, like I said, 2 weeks before, about 2.5 weeks before. And it's a PDF that has 25 pages. So there's definitely some solid information in there. And it basically will go through an agenda. So first, there'll be a little video, for example, on the Secretary General. So this is from the Secretary General on inclusivity. And then there'll be a link to the video, and it'll just be some words from the UN about the topic. And then perhaps another video, for example, as well. That's just...
Everyone is different. The 2020 Global Education Monitoring Report on...
So just some video resources there. And then what we offer is some key questions. So these would be key ideas that we're looking for in terms of what the discussion should be about. So it's just a way to bring some focus around the discussion. And then we have a few links for resources. And then some information about Zoom, basic rules, what our requirements are, bathroom breaks, you know, just logistic kind of information, passing notes. And then all the rules of procedure, basically, what each of the sections are, what's going to happen. And that way, as the teacher, you can use this and go through with your students exactly what will happen. And then during the actual working session, this is the same document that the bureau member will use and go through the same thing. They'll do the Zoom controls, make sure everyone understands how to rename themselves. They'll do basic rules. They'll go through payment requirements. And then basically the way it works is the bureau will explain what we're going to do. Okay, now we're going to do introductions. Delegates will share their name, where they're from. Is this their first MMUN conference or working session, you know? And then they'll do it. After they finish introductions, then they'll go through the rules of procedure, and then they'll do the roll call, for example. And then they'll do speeches, and then they'll do formal consult. Now, speeches are not necessary for this. If delegates want to give a speech, they can. It's not required. As we said, because it's the preparation is optional, it can be as feels comfortable to the students. It can also be a 10-second speech, for example. Then they'll explain how we create subtopics, and then they'll make the subtopics. Now, because it's less time, they're only going to make 2 subtopics rather than 4, like you would at a conference. And then they'll start to draft. And the same thing, they're only going to make 3 operative paragraphs and 2 preambulatory paragraphs, which is different than what we do in committee session. Also because we only have 3 hours. So, and then we go on. And if delegates make it all the way to merging or to line by line, that's great, but it's not required. You know, delegates make it as far as they can in the 3 hours. And that's all that matters. It's just a chance to practice the rules of procedure and have a good conversation about important ideas. So that would be an example of what a PDF looks like that teachers would get in the mail. And then here are some examples of what it sounds like when the delegates are working in these NGOs.
Oh yeah, acknowledging the need for more education about more education about student mental health for parents and teachers, and like we can workshop that. But
Like maybe we would like to like support children with mental issues by like creating um resources to educate children on how to cope with their issue. So maybe um people that have had that issue and have dealt with that issue and learned how to cope could
Yes.
maybe create some sort of resource to help people with the same issue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And can you give me your group?
Mind Incorporated.
Mind Incorporated.
I have one.
Great. I'm ready. Yes.
Okay, so I think that we should have, or We Depend on Health believes that we should have um like a website like Mind Incorporated was saying, and that way, but it's for parents to read on like how other people with these mental issues have coped with them. And so the parents can read that and it can give them tips to help their child or help themselves if it's them who has the mental issues. And then they can help their child. And so, yeah.
Very nice. Can you give me again your group?
We Depend on Health.
We Depend on Health.
Does anyone else have any solutions that they'd like to share?
I think we should be aware of some fact that it's called micro discriminations. That it's like you act to a person with a mental health disorder in like a paternalistic manner, like you're superior than they, so you can speak to them in a like you're their parents, something like that.
Oh, so would it be delegate being aware of the impacts of discrimination to, was it cause mental health disorders?
Yes.
And delegate, what is the name of your NGO that you're representing?
Organization of Youth Mental Health.
Thank you. Delegates, feel free to share any of your solutions. You don't need to worry about raising your hands. You can just turn off your mic.
Maybe another one could be giving people who feel comfortable opportunities to speak about their struggles and what has helped them.
And delegate, what NGO are you representing?
Support struggling students. Thank you.
Hager's Mental Health Help thinks that taking away like the stigmatism of like the negativity in mental illness.
Yes.
By talking about it more in school would definitely be a helpful thing for children to feel more open to talk about what is going on in their head, because Hager's Mental Health Help believes that with all of the stigmatism, that it causes a negative impact on how they feel they can talk about it.
Can I add something? I'm just looking at this and I'm wondering, maybe we could specify a bit more some of these. For example, I see providing things needed for people with mental disorders from the Children International Society. Could we maybe specify what those things needed are? And it could be not only from the Children's International Society, it could be from others as well who have similar ideas. What kind of things are you imagining?
We could say providing resources.
Okay. Do you have any ideas for what kind of resources?
May I ask if this might help? It may not. Are the resources, are you trying to say like people like that could help as resources, or like certain like fidget toys and books that could help?
Like support from people and like families, relatives, friends.
So yours, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, it's fine.
So are you just so so I understand, are you suggesting that you're providing actually human support for people with mental disorders, like people they can go and speak to and talk to? Or are you talking about resources like items or classes or activities, or is it specific, what kind of things are you talking about? Or is it specifically just giving them people that they can talk to?
Well, I think like the kid should be able to choose whether to speak to somebody or use like fidget toys or other things that may calm them.
So maybe you could put that inside this paragraph, what exactly you're suggesting in terms of resources. You can, because what we can do is we can say providing resources such as, and then list some of them so it's clear. Can you think of some way to phrase that? And others can help. It doesn't have to just be on this delegate. Anyone else has some ideas? What kind of resources could we supply for people with mental disorders?
Maybe counselors, therapists, or psychologists.
Okay, yeah. Resource counselors. What else? I heard fidget toys. That was one thing I heard as well, but I didn't know what else.
Hotlines. So numbers
Hotlines?
you can call when you need help.
Other ideas? You can always chat them as well. If anyone feels nervous saying it on the screen, you can always chat.
I believe there is a delegate talking about, I think, fidget things. Would that be something that they would want to include when it comes to talking about different resources we need to provide?
Yes.
Okay, so specifically, would you want fidget? What was the specific wording that you might choose? Because or we can. Sorry. Would it be fidget? Fidget toys, fidget things.
I think
Okay, so that's a long video just to give you a sense of what it's like when the delegates are working on drafting paragraphs on their ideas. So they'd already have made subtopics, and it's just what the conversations are like. There's definitely some pausing and it takes time, but the delegates get to have a discussion about their ideas. Okay, so now let's skip this. I think we need to watch this too. That's basically it for the student working sessions. It's a very important part about the year-long program, and I really suggest you sign up early. As I said, the deadline to sign up once you register is October 14th, but I would suggest to do it earlier. Also, another thing is, please make sure to attend those sessions you register, because as I said, it's a really great opportunity for the students, and it's a lot for us to organize. So take advantage of that work, because it's a great opportunity. Okay, and now we're going to go on to the student meetups. These are 2 independent meetups during which students get to know their fellow delegates in a relaxed and formal way. They do movement-based social exchanges and fun interactive activities. It's really it's nothing to do with countries or NGOs or anything like that. It's much more informal, and it always starts with movement and is a lot about movement. And we work with a group called Montessori Games for this. Montessori Games is the ones who collaborate with us on creating this part of our year-long program. And the aim of Games, of the Global Association of Montessori Education and Sport, is to connect people through sport and education. It's about building a peaceful and better world by practicing sports and making new friendships. Pupils, teachers, and school leaders alike will learn more about different countries and their cultures by working together and sharing ideas and practices. That's the mission of Montessori Games. And here we have the 3 board members to speak about it.
Hello, my name is Aiden Bloodworth.
My name is Ronald Wijngaard.
And I am Jeroen Gremmen. Together we are Games. Together with MMUN, we challenge you during the conference to get moving, get your body and mind working, and to get to know each other. Hope to see you soon.
So that's just a little video, so you get to see those 3 gentlemen.
My name.
As I said, it was created in collaboration with Games, and it's an opportunity for students to meet in an informal way. You learn about the SDGs. Actually, a big part of what they centered the work around is the kind of games around the Sustainable Development Goals. It's a chance to be physical and get to know their international peers. So it happens on Sundays throughout the year, and we keep middle school and upper L split. It's only an hour long. It always starts with an active warm-up, and it's centered around the SDGs. So this will happen at home. That means you're really going to need to let parents know about this, because otherwise they probably won't show up. It is a really fun activity. We found that students get to know each other before the conference, and they have a chance to interact and be physical and learn something. So the timeline of it is, it's same thing. It's October 14th is deadline to register for the student meetups. The week before the meetup, you'll receive a Zoom information for the students in the list format. Same thing like before, we split students up as much as possible from their school group. And please do let parents know, because it happens on Sunday. Materials are pretty similar. You don't need headphones in this one, just a computer, an internet connection, and dress to move. Yeah. So this is, maybe I'll show you a little example of what the SDG Games looks like. So for example, the students would get to pick an SDG, and then when they pick an SDG, what would happen is some different kinds of questions. This one's a share questions. So this question they'd be asked, what kind of poverty exists in your country, community? How can you help? And they have a short discussion about this. And then another person gets to pick another one. So let's say you pick like reduced inequalities. So you click on reduced inequalities, And that's another share one. Have you ever felt that you've been treated unequally? When and why? And delegates, students get to share their experience a little bit. So it's a little bit like icebreakers, but then there are also ones that are questions. How many people in the world are not eating enough to be in good health? And then everyone gets to make a guess. And when they decide that 900 million. So the delegate who chose it would guess. And if they're wrong, then they have to do the challenge, which is the plow. So everyone has to do the plow. Another one is a share for quality education. For renewable energy, there's an exercise. 8's another question. So things like that. It's like a little game that the games people and our younger bureau members actually run. And then we have just a quick word here from some students about their experience with it.
It was a lot funner than I expected. And I think the idea to implement physical activity is very cool.
I think it was really fun and enjoyable.
It was fun.
I think that it was really smart to engage kids to get exercise.
Thought it was really smart and fun to mix together, moving around and introducing ourselves.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
So that one's a lot quicker. Yeah, so you can see that I think the delegates enjoy it, students have fun, and it's just a nice other way to get students to talk to each other from all over, be a little physical, and learn a bit about the SDGs. So do sign up for those as well. Okay, and that is basically all I have for my presentation on the year-long program student working sessions. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but we can take them on the chat or